children are fighting teachers and their parents condone it. No human rights for the people. And I know a lot of people think that they're safe and whatever, but hi guys, it's Gigi and welcome back to the channel. My parents got divorced when I was in elementary school. And the craziest thing was I was caught completely off guard. I think probably the rest of the siblings were caught off guard as well. One day the sheriff showed up to our house and my dad got his things and he left. Confused. I was super confused as a young child. I was old enough, that I remember what was happening. But I was so confused because I heard some of my other friends' parents got divorced, and I must have been around 9 or 10 years old. So I don't even think I fully grasped the concept of what divorce was. But I knew that once grown-ups got divorced, they can't live in the same house together again. I knew that. That's as much as I knew about what divorce meant as a young child. I was so shocked and confused because I don't ever remember my parents fighting. I remember maybe one argument they had, and they were whispering at each other, arguing, but their voices were like they were whispering at each other. So that was my only time ever even knowing that there was a disagreement. All that I ever knew was that my dad would call my mom every day. She said, "This is what your dad wanted to eat today, so come help me in the kitchen. This is what I'm cooking." And that's what it was. So I never knew anything was going wrong for them to lead to divorce. And so things were very different back then. I knew that things happen in families. I knew that families were not perfect, but things were different. People dealt with each other differently back then. I truly felt like people tried to work on things. People tried to have conversations, and they acted like adults. Back then there was no social media. And aside from that, adults kept children out of their business. When it was grown-up time, when it was time for the adults to be together, we had to go outside. There was no sitting around. Like my mom used to say, don't be sitting around looking in grown-ups' mouth, because we grew up in the South. So you couldn't sit around grown-ups. You had to get your butt up and you had to take it outside. You go play with your friends. You go find you somebody to play with. You did not come back in that house until you needed to go to the restroom, because we couldn't go into other people's houses. So that's the only time you got to come into the house, until it was time for mama to call you because it was time for dinner or whatever. Had the water hose outside. Yes, we drank out of the water hose. We had to stay outside. We played in the dirt. We did all of the stuff that children were expected to do back then. We played baseball. We played basketball. We played football. We played tag. We played You're It. We made our own slip and slides because nobody was able to afford going to buy slip and slides or whatever. Or we just got the water hose and we wet down some plastic bags with some Dawn or something on it, and we slipped and slide. That was our entertainment. We entertained ourselves, unlike a lot of what happens today. We just couldn't be in the environments when adults were talking, because that was their time. That was their personal time, and the kids had to go and do whatever they did. And sometimes that really makes me sad, because I realize that we'll never get that back again. We'll never get those times back again to where we could just walk up and down the street. We could go over to our friend's house, or we could walk a mile down to my aunt's house. We could do all of that stuff. We could ride our bikes in the street. We weren't really concerned about a lot of the things that people are concerned about today. And there's no way that I would ever allow my children to be unassisted in the type of world that we live in now. I grew up in a neighborhood that was all Black, working class neighborhoods. Everybody looked out for everybody else's children. Everything was yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes or no, sir. You listened to adults or you got in trouble with that adult. And on top of getting in trouble with that adult, you got in trouble when you got home too. So, we did our little dirt, but the world that we live in now, children are fighting teachers and their parents condone it. And they don't even think it's important to respect authority or any of that type of stuff. And it takes for us to get into a position like what we're in right now with the whole presidency and, rules and laws and different things being reversed, just basic human rights. Like we're going back to an era where there's just no respect, no human rights for the people. And I know a lot of people think that they're safe and whatever, but we've quickly found out that nobody is safe. You would think that people would drop their prejudice, they would drop their bias, they would drop the hate and all of this stuff, even when they're in a bad situation, but it's not. And it's not even just a racial thing. It's just a complete lack of common courtesy with individuals. The men were respectful to women, no longer that, and women are not respectful to men either. And nobody wants to take accountability for any of it. They just want to be able to get online and just bully people and do all types of just disrespectful stuff. I can't even think of a better word at this point other than just disrespectful. Nobody wants to take accountability for their actions, which would only help you as an individual to grow and to develop a better character and into a better person overall. The masses as a whole flock to negativity. They don't go to anything that's empowering. They don't want to hear anything that's uplifting. They don't want to hear that people are married, people are happy, people have a great life. They just want to hear that something went wrong. What went wrong? All the stuff that went wrong. And, we can talk about the stuff that went wrong as well. It's like they're okay with hearing that stuff is going to go wrong, but the solutions, the people as a whole really don't want the solution. And there are some people who are waking up to the fact that we're going to really need to be more self-sufficient and more independent, but there are not enough people waking up. And I'm just afraid that by the time the masses do wake up, it's just going to be so late in the game that there's just going to be mass chaos. And then this perfect scenario that's being put in place with these agendas and things, it's just going to all lead to martial law, which none of us want. Start to help each other, start to work together so that we can build a better world. Be prepping, be praying, be doing whatever it is that you need to do to make your environment a better place. Go in with some friends, get y'all some land, do some community living, do whatever you have to do, because we're headed towards a really, really bad place. There's no turning back at this point. There's just no turning back. So do whatever you have to do to protect yourselves, to protect the people that you love, your friends, your family, the communities that you've built over time. Just make sure that you're always ready and willing to help someone who's willing to also help you in return. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.